Happy day 20 of Vlogmas. So for Vlogmas, I've been going live every single day except for when I have classes like yesterday where we made fun holiday appetizers, and it was a doozy of a class. It was awesome, it was long, and there was lots learned. So if you weren't there and you'd like to have been, you can still go to kathyhester.podia.com and look at those classes and other classes that I have offered. Once I film them live, you can come back and purchase them and take them taped. So that's all it is to it. And you can ask me questions and things like that. Okay, I see this is perpetuating through all the streaming. Today, we are going to make Christmas cookies. And even better than that, we're going to make like Christmas cookies with a deep, dark, mysterious past. Okay, maybe it's not that exciting, but hi Gina. Gina was in class. She can tell you it was a long, exciting road. What we're going to do is we're going to make cookies that are oil-free and have beans in them. And usually that's like, okay, done, leaving, don't, stick with me, trust me on this. So what's great about these cookies is usually if you leave the oil out of cookies, you get a cakey cookie. And that's what we're going for. So these are almost like little mini devil's food cookies, little cakes. They're like little cakes. They're awesome. They're not only one of my favorite recipes, they're a lot of my readers' favorite recipes. It comes from my second book, The Great Vegan Bean Book. And you can even see some little pictures of them. And I'll let you see that from, oh, there we go. See, look how happy they look. They actually remind me of a childhood cookie that we used to get that had a coat, like a chocolate coating on them. So they're kind of springy and yummy. The beans basically replace the fat and keep that moist cake yumminess part to this. So in the original recipe, and depending on where you're watching this, somewhere around there is a link to the recipe on healthyslowcooking.com, or you can look up the top or to the side for the magnifying glass and look up mint cookie, and that will come up as well. So healthyslowcooking.com. And so here's the biggest trick to making bean baked goods that are sweet. Don't taste the bean batter part until you have the sugar in, because it's not going to taste good. So let's just get that straight right now. You're going to taste it and you're going to go, I was right, this tastes awful. But if you listen to me, I promise we'll get through this together. So let's go ahead and make the dry ingredients. So I am using a gluten-free baking mix. So right now I'm using Krusteaz because that's what I have. It's got like whole sorghum, brown rice flour, things like that in there. Absolutely, you can use whole wheat pastry flour, whole wheat flour. Just realize if you use whole wheat flour instead of whole wheat pastry flour or some other baking mixes, you may need a little extra liquid. In fact, I may end up needing a little extra liquid because I've always made these in the past with whole wheat. So, and it's going to be okay. It's okay to change a recipe around a little bit. Okay, so let's watch there we go. That should be good. We're going to put about 1.5 cups of our flour. So basically, when you're making cookies, you want to have the dry goods mixed in one bowl and then the wet in the other, then combine them. That's all we're doing. It's not that fancy. Hi, Joanne and Brazen. Yay! Brazen is from Houston, Texas. My friend Dawn is there. Hi, Marilyn. I'll bring you guys in really quick. Well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. Hopefully everything. I clicked and I got a little guy who looks unhappy. We'll see what happens. I'm going to put, let's see, 1/4 teaspoon of salt in here. And if you don't use salt, honestly, just leave it out. I won't tell anybody if you don't. So I think we're good. Yeah, Joanne said, don't taste the batter until it gets added, and she understands. So that's awesome. So we're going to put a half a cup of chocolate or cocoa, or it could be cacao powder. Honestly, this could be Trader Joe's cocoa, or it could be cacao in here. It's like a mystery in my cabinet right now. Linda, yay! Says it's damp and nippy today in Windsor. Cookies sound like a great thing to make. And I think what happens is we often feel like if we're being healthy, we can't have anything like this. So I think having something small. This is baking soda. And we're using 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And honestly, we're just going to mix this around. So the reason you put the dry ingredients together, and here, I'll tell you this too. If you want to make perfect lighter cookies than I do, you could also sift the flours and the cocoa. I kind of go from this. I'm already making oil-free vegan cookies with gluten-free flour. So I'm not looking for that extra little lift that might give me, right? I'm just happy to have cookies. And I'm the worst about sifting. So, but if you wanted to do that, you certainly can. When you're working with whole grain flours too, it's a little harder because there's a lot of bran that could get sifted out too. So just realize that. So I am literally, oh, change cam. My camera changing thing is going slow. So there we go. It doesn't like something I'm doing. So let me get out of some of these things and see if that helps at all. Not really. Okay. And I'm literally just getting it off the bottom to make sure there's no white left on the bottom. Okay. That's it. That's all this step is. So those of you who are just joining, yeah. Oh, it's saying the red can is usually baking powder. Well, at Trader Joe's, it's baking soda. So it really is baking soda. It's not me just having, though it is possible, because yesterday's class was a long one. Let's see what we. It's damp, but it's 78. Okay, awesome. So we're going to keep the chocolate chips for the end. Now, you could use, if you wanted to make these sugar-free, or I'm making them with organic vegan sugar, both white and brown. Let's talk about how we could do this a little bit differently. And know that you're going to kind of have to pivot. Just like I said, I'm using a different flour than I usually use. So during this live, I may have to pivot and add a little more liquid or a little more flour. Just be okay with that. Be okay with some things may have to change ever so slightly. I could use like a liquid syrup, like maple syrup instead, and do less liquid, which is milk. We're going to use like a cup of soy milk. I'm using just unsweetened soy milk. You could use almond milk. You could use oat milk. I encourage you to use an unsweetened plain version of that, though that's up to you. Honestly, you could use a sweetened chocolate non-dairy milk to add more chocolate flavor, and that's up to you. I probably would change it would change the sugar ratio. So as long as we're tasting this after the sugar, we can kind of do that. It is a little more fraught with effort, since if you taste just the bean puree, it's going to be nasty. I will say again. And someone else said, am I sure it's baking soda? Yes, I am. I'm absolutely positive. And I'll let you guys see that. See? Baking soda. That's what Trader Joe's baking soda is in. So I am absolutely positive. In fact, this is Trader Joe's baking powder, and it's in the white one. So I'll show you that too. Your color of your jar may vary, but I'm just using Trader Joe's. So the red is for sure baking soda. Okay? Now that we got that all straightened out, I don't know. I'm really good about reading the labels though. So I have here 1 tablespoon of flaxseed that I mixed with 3 tablespoons of warm water. Okay, we're going to blend this. Usually I put it in the food processor, so this too will be exciting. So I'm going to put in my 1 cup of non-dairy milk. I'm going to put in my faux egg, which is my flaxseed egg. Again, 1 tablespoon. And you can get this recipe, those of you who are joining late or watching the replay and would like to hear it again, you can either, I have it on the description of this, first off. Then you can go and search mint cookie on healthyslowcooking.com. So I got you covered. Yeah, it is really dark. This is that wholesome brown sugar, which is kind of nice. You could do anywhere from a half a teaspoon to a teaspoon of mint extract. I usually use, actually, I'm going to do under a teaspoon because it's stronger than vanilla. But I like that really minty flavor. If you want your minty flavor to be not so minty, start with a half teaspoon, taste it, and go on. If you're really kind of mint phobic, leave it out. Why do I put mint in it today? Because they're holiday cookies, and that's where mint goes. But that's really about it. I am going to go ahead and put in my sugars in here. There we go. And I'm going to blend this up together. I'm going to try, since I'm not using the food processor, I'm going to see about getting the liquids blended together well first and then the beans, because it's usually pretty thick. Okay, we're going to be good. All right, so I'll let you guys see that. Hi, Ashley. Ashley just finished her cooking baking, and hi, Michelle. Oh, I'm missing a bunch. Gina says Trader Joe's marketing department aren't bakers, and they probably aren't. And Jackie said, do I ever add a small amount of instant coffee or espresso to enhance the chocolate flavor? I do not, but you could, and that's a great idea. This is 1 can of black beans drained, or about 1.5 cups cooked of homemade black beans, if you make them at home from dry. Okay, so we've got that in. And honestly, if you put the sugar in first like I did now, you can kind of taste it. But it's just going to taste like sweet beans. It's much better when it's mixed with the chocolate. And this I want to puree really well. Oh good, it's not as thick as I remember it. Now I want you to notice something, because you can still see some of those bean skins in there. Since we're adding chocolate chips, it doesn't matter. People are just going to think it's a chocolate chip. And if you look from the top, you don't really see it very much. Okay. And someone else said their oven broke several days ago, but these are in the list after repair. And hello, everyone that I'm not saying your name, it says Facebook user for me, which is fine and dandy, but just know I am not ignoring you. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this in here. This is our wet mixture. So I'm going to scrape it out if I can. Having a good spatula does a few things. A, it gets all of your yummy goodness out. So that is one reason. And you're not wasting anything. B, it makes cleanup easier because you don't have to scrape all the stuff out that you left in there. I'm still trying to train Cheryl on the glories of doing that. So now we're going to see if I'm going to end up needing extra batter or not. Or not extra batter. If the batter is too thin, I will add some extra flour. If it's just right, I won't. If it's too thick, I can add some extra liquid, and that could be extra non-dairy milk. Okay. And it looks pretty good right now. I feel good about this. We want it not to be browny thick, but we want it to be fairly thick. Okay, and I'm going to make sure I'm scraping the bottom so we don't end up with some flour at the very end. now's the time to taste the batter and make some decisions, okay? That is a goodly amount of mint. I would encourage you guys, I did probably 3/4 of a teaspoon. If you're not a mint fan, go start with 1/4 and maybe go up to 1/2. My opinion only. Okay. But other than that, it tastes sweet enough for me. If it didn't, I could add some more sugar. I could put a little maple syrup in there. We are also adding chocolate chips. So if you wanted to use this, you could use this making, let's try one more time. You could make these using date sugar. I made some brownies yesterday in class. I made my Teff brownies from Healthy Slow Cooking, and the only thing I would change is I probably would add a little bit of extra water if I use the date syrup, because it's really, really dry and thirsty. So if you could use something like that, at least there used to be some chocolate chips that were sweetened with barley malt, which were sometimes acceptable to people as a treat. These do have sugar in them. I'm using sugar in the cookies. You could also use Lily's baking chips. Not all of Lily's stuff is vegan, but now they have more than one baking chip, so double check. If you're getting not the milk chocolate baking chips, you should be good. And you know, if your oven broke and you have an air fryer, you could actually make a small batch of these. And my preference too, actually before I go off on that track, so you could just bake like maybe 5 or 6 at a time if you have kind of those egg-shaped air fryers. I also prefer mini chocolate chips, but we don't have any. So if you have mini chocolate chips, because I'm going to make little mini cookie poofs, that's just how I like them. You could also, if you wanted to, you could stir in nuts or peppermint pieces or anything like that. That's totally up to you. These are your cookies. So I'm going to take a baking sheet. I have the oven preheated at 350 already. See if that's a little bit better. There we go. So this is about a tablespoon, I think. And I'm just going to get a tablespoon of dough and plop it on here. If you see some that doesn't have any, and you want to leave a little bit of room, but you don't have to leave a lot. And in fact, if I don't smush these at all, they'll just stay these little cute bonbon shaped, which can be kind of cool, actually. And we can use those for our purposes as well. I don't know if you can see it. If I notice that some of the dough is the chocolate chips aren't there, I make sure I have a chocolate chip in each piece, because that's only fair. And I was kind of like anti-cookie scoop for a while, but you know, I really like the way things are kind of even. You know, you get similarly sized portions. Even if they're not perfect, it's still kind of nice. But if you don't have them, don't say, oh, I can't make these cookies. Because I can tell you probably for most of my life, there was not a cookie scoop involved in any cookie I ever made. And they tasted just as good. Okay, so we've got about 15 cookies. And if we wanted to, let's see if this will work with here. Sometimes you have to have a spatula. Yeah, we're going to need a spatula. I get a spatula. Because you can do it. Okay, get this back there. Okay. I'll pat some of these down, and some of them I want, so you can see the difference. And if it even matters. See, because you can even spread them around a little bit like this. But honestly, I think the past few times I've made them, I've just left them like the bonbon shapes because they're just as cool. And it takes less effort from me. So we'll do those. Okay, so we're going to put them in the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. So let's start with 10 minutes and we'll check on them. I do have my oven on convection bake, so that will speed up the time a little bit as well. So let me see what you guys are saying. Ashley said, for any Canadians, President Choice chocolate chips are accidentally vegan and cheap. That's awesome. Trader Joe's chocolate chips are vegan again this year when I looked last. Always look. Costco's were vegan in years past. I haven't checked this year, but last year they were not. So they do kind of change. And it's always kind of hidden. So be very vigilant. Hello, B-Love. It's awesome to see you. It's my pleasure to have you here. And I talked a little bit about Vlogmas, so you guys know that B-Love is also doing Vlogmas as well if you're interested. They always have happy, uplifting messages, and they're just the sweetest women. So anyhow, you should check them out. They do not cook, so if you're looking for cooking, though, just know it's just happy. Yeah, the little balls are festive, and here's another thing. So this is another contradicting part of myself. When you look on the post for the holiday cookies, you're going to see powdered sugar all over there. And I think it's beautiful in pictures, and I hate having powdered sugar on my baked goods. Like, hate it. Like, it's fine for icing or if it's in something, but actually putting it on top, I don't like the way it's muddy. Muddy is probably a good word to put. But if you want to make these look very holiday, or if I was giving them to someone, I probably would put sprinkle powdered sugar all over them. If you do them in the balls, you could actually roll them in powdered sugar, or you could roll them in, you can make it a little thicker and roll it in powdered sugar. As it is now, it would just be a blanc. So, but powdered sugar, rolling it in while it's still warm would still help too. CJ says, could you freeze the little uncooked cookies? Oh, dang it. I keep trying to get the message to pop up and it's not going to. I apologize. Can you freeze the little uncooked cookies to bake later? I think you could, but you're really going to want to have them on a pan. You're not going to be able just to like throw them in a bag or something. You're going to have to let them freeze on a pan. And if it's cold outside, you can put them outside, let them freeze, and then drop the frozen cookies in a bag. That would totally be fine. Yeah, and Ashley hates the powdered sugar too. Yeah, and powdered sugar gets all over your fingers. It's just, every time I use it for either a photo on the blog or a cookbook, I feel like the biggest hypocrite in the world. But honestly, when it comes down to it, powdered sugar or not, it's not really going to end the world. And it is pretty. It is pretty. And I'm not saying anything about that. And you guys could do some variations on these cookies too. Again, you could, we talked about, I forget what, were we talking about hot chocolate? We were talking like orange and chocolate, lavender and chocolate, all the things that Cheryl hates. And I love with chocolate. You could do with this too. So the extract is really nice that you can kind of change it however you want, you know. And for the seasons, like these would be really cute, like lavender rose cookies for Valentine's Day. And you could even like sneak up and sprinkle a couple of rose petals before they bake or some lavender buds and make them look really good. Jenny Field would hate them. Half of my friends hate all the floral flavors, and if you're one of those people, I will be friends with you. So just know that. It won't get in between you and I. Oh, that one doesn't look pretty at all. There's my mom cookie that I get to eat later, right? I'm just a dog and cat mom, but I still end up getting the mom food. You know, it's like whatever's messed up, whatever somebody won't eat, that's my portion for the time. Hi, Mary Ellen. It's awesome to see you here today. And Brazen likes to blend up regular sugar to powdered, no cornstarch in it that way. Absolutely. And actually, if you guys go to Healthy Slow Cooking, I have a recipe for oil-free beignets that uses coconut milk, and it's a lighter sugar. It uses the wholesome blend that's got some stevia and some sugar, and it's more like granulated sugar. And what I do is I blend it up. So you can make your own powdered sugar that's not gross. That's a great, and thanks for bringing that up, Brazen. I like Joanne's thing is, that's spiritually interesting. I love that. Awesome. And Brazen is going. It's very nice to have you here. Thank you for your tip. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. And I am going to go visit my friends, Howard Jacobson, who does some health stuff. You've probably seen him on Plant Yourself or on the Sick to Fit group, Facebook group that I tell you guys about. And you know what I'm going to do? Because 30 cookies is more than enough. I'll show you how much dough I have left over. I will see if it can freeze tonight and I can put it in bags for another time. I was thinking of just bringing it to Howard and Mia and going, here's cookie dough for you to eat however you would like to. But that's probably another dozen cookies, because these make about 36 little cookies. And I think you're better off making these little cookies than you are making the big ones. Oh, I will. Helene says to say hi to Howard, and I don't know if Mia's on right now or not. Sometimes she catches the lives. And I'm going to be bringing them from the class yesterday. We're going to have the coconut tofu. We're going to have some of the spinach artichoke dip. And I'm bringing the date-sweetened Teff brownies that we made, because Mia's not doing sugar right now, which I know makes me a bad person for making these. But her son is still doing sugar, so I'll have some for him. And Jackie thinks these would be good with dried chopped cherries and almond extract. Oh yeah, that would be delicious too. Like, I love the idea that these are just like a starting point to kind of check out and see what you're going to do. And I want to encourage your creativity and see what you have and what you like. And yeah, Joanne says it's a nice hostess gift, especially if I put powdered sugar all over it, and I could put it in some sort of nice little Christmassy or holiday, whichever holiday you celebrate. We're actually going to celebrate winter solstice, in fact. So that's where we're headed. I like all the holidays. I'm up for equal opportunity holidays. I know, Elizabeth Bell's like, cookies. I know, and they're oil-free. So that's something else. So those of you who aren't, who didn't join me in the beginning, what we're doing is we're making double chocolate devil's food cookies from the Great Vegan Bean Book. But you can get the recipe on my blog at healthyslowcooking.com. Just look up mint cookies, because I have a variation with mint for the holidays. And I thought, well, it's December 20th. It's a good time for cookies. So let me come over here. I've got another minute on these. I'm going to set these on the top. And then you guys can see, I think these are probably going to, yeah, they need a little bit more time, but I want you to see for sure. I don't know if you can see it that well. These are, yeah, you sort of can. These are the flatter ones, right, that we took the time to flatten out. These are the ones that are more like little balls. And so here's how I know they're not ready. They're too soft on the top. Okay? So I want these to go back in for, I'd say, about 3 minutes more. And in general, I'm going to put it on 2 because of what I'm about to tell you, which is however minutes you're guessing, I usually go 1 less. And that way, just in case you're guessing wrong, I'd rather you catch it a little bit underdone and go, yeah, it needs another minute, than to catch it overdone, because you can't do anything about that. Now, granted, they'll still be good. Worst case scenario, you overcook them to almost burnt, chop them up, mix them in some like nice cream. Make vanilla nice cream with chocolate peppermint cookies. Nobody's going to say no to that. Helene says, when will you be coming here with leftovers? It could be at some point. I'm hoping things will open up a little more, but maybe soon we can have an outdoor picnic gathering, a little winter festivities or something. As I was telling you guys, the class yesterday was awesome. We made gluten-free samosas, and we made a chickpea curry so we can make samosa chaat and 2 chutneys. We made our spinach artichoke dip with cashew cream, so it's all oil-free. And you can make it nut-free by using like a tofu sour cream mixture as well, or store-bought sour cream if you didn't want to make something else. We made little battered pieces of coconut tofu, which are yummy. We made tough brownies, and we made those with dates. And I think we made something else, and it was a very long class, and I think I lost some brain cells during it. My brain is not fully recovered. It was like a 3.5-hour class, because I think somewhere along the line I meant samosas and wrote samosa chaat, so we did like twice as many recipes as usual. But we have all those leftovers. And that was my 2 minutes. So let's see what they're doing. Now, at least on the top, they look a little more dry, a little more matte, right? Make sure we're getting, there we go. Yeah, see how they're a little squishy still. And yeah, usually, and you guys don't touch these hot cookies with your hands. I have calluses from being in the kitchen so much. And that's why I can do some things. So what I want to do, and you don't need to do this, I just want to show you, see how it's gotten drier on the bottom? And that's kind of what we're looking for. And this is going to still cook a little bit. I've just got to feel around and see. They're pretty good. I think these are pretty good. And if they move a little bit, that's super helpful. Now, to keep the oil-free sensibility going, I didn't talk about this at all, is that I'm using parchment paper. So you can spray your sheets. I would not put this mixture just on a nonstick baking pan as it is. And I actually, in the links, I put a link for the parchment paper I get. I get like 200 pieces already cut, so I don't have to worry about it. And then if I'm using my smaller sheet pans, I just cut them directly in half. And it makes a huge difference on something like this. Also, in these cookies, we're not trying to keep them crisp because they're like little cakes. Let me see if I can, they're a little warm, so I'm not sure if I can get much more than goo. But this should let you see. Put it in between and see if you can see it this way. So see the melty part in there, the real shiny part, that's the chocolate chips. But you can see how it's light and cakey in there. And I may be putting this piece in my mouth right now. Oh, they're good. And for me, the mint ratio is good. So if you like mint a lot, I would go there. But see how they're just soft little cakes. Now what some people do is they'll make them flatter. Woo! Throwing cookies now. Make them flatter like that and make an icing and make little whoopie pies with them. So I have a friend who has a lot of allergies. And so that's what she does as part of her like holiday Christmas cookie thing. So you could also put some icing in there if you wanted to get up your sugar game. Or you could do some, depending on what you do, like you could puree some coconut, like just regular coconut. This is not low fat, but it's not any added fat. So it depends on where you lie in those. And you could put some sort of sweetener and puree that together. I did that in my Halloween ebook, Ghoulish Gourmet, to make some whoopie pies because I had saints and sinners. So the saints ones had that and the other ones had coconut oil. Hey Sophie, happy Sunday. Is it Sunday where you are, I think, still? Or are you heading into Monday already? And Jackie says, I really wish you were our neighbors. It would be a great I would be a great taste tester or leftover recipient, and I like that. We're always looking for all of those. And it's kind of funny because Mia's like, no, you always bring food over. We need to cook for you. And I'm like, I'm just wishing it was 32 degrees outside all day so that can be my extra freezer. There's been winters when I've done cookbooks that I have so much food, and then I just have people come pick it up at shifts. Because it would break my heart to throw it away. And Joanne thinks they're cute, and Jackie thinks whoopie pies sound amazing. Whoopie pies, okay, we got whoopie pies for the win. There are also, if you go to Healthy Slow Cooking and look up cookies, I feel like there's chocolate on my face. There might have been because I did take a bite of that cookie. You can find a whole slew of Christmas cookies. They are not all oil-free, but you can kind of look through some of that. You can do anything except for something like a shortbread or something super crispy can be made oil-free. It's just going to go cakey. That's why shortbread, the whole thing is the snap of the shortbread, so then therefore you kind of have a little vanilla cake, which is not like shortbread, so I don't want to mislead you. And Sophie says it's 8 p.m. where she is in Sweden, right? It's Sweden, and tell me if I'm wrong. Somebody else says they look fabulous, and I hope so. And I'm going to make some more, and I will see about freezing some of these in little balls and see. There's no room in my freezer, so if I can do it, I will. So ask me. If not, I have these little, they're like these little silicone cookie dough holders. So it looks almost like indentions for 6 of them, and it covers. So you can just put cookie dough in the freezer like that. So I'll do it like that if I can't do it the normal way. And still, what I do, frozen, I pop those out 1 or 2 and put them in the air fryer. You can do that with any cookie dough. I know, Joanne says, don't forget to feed the nurses. I know, I need to give them some stuff too. I haven't had any time. It's been a busy month. Vlogmas has kept me busy. Okay, guys, so I see some more people are coming on. What we did is we made some double chocolate mint cookies from the Great Vegan Bean Book. You can get the recipe on Healthy Slow Cooking if you look up mint cookies. If you want to know what you missed out on in yesterday's Marathon Delicious Holiday Appetizer class, go to kathyhester.podia.com. It's still available for purchase, and I would love to see you there. People who took the class, next, I will be working on the recipes to put up. So there you go. Busy day. And Jackie said, do I have a ginger snap recipe? And I don't think I do. I have a true gingerbread recipe that I also made for the Teff people. But I don't know how much recipe development I'm doing this week. I gotta be real with you. But yeah, if there's some cookies you want, go ahead and leave it in the comments, and I'll see. If I don't have it, I'll see if I can find someone that I respect and like a lot that does have one that I can give you that recipe. That I can promise. Okay, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you enjoy all of what December has to offer, and you get to rest and make something fun. I will see you guys tomorrow. And my little thing is just spinning around, so I'm not sure when I'm actually going to be out.